Well, today I'm getting to talk to Jeff Bouwman, and Jeff's just a miracle worker as a teacher. He's done great things. And several years ago, he wrote an application to YLACES for help in buying some both weather measuring equipment and educational tools to go with it. And I'll let him tell you more about that. And then we're going to talk about how that's grown and benefited more in the whole community and several class years of students. So Jeff, tell us a little about the original grant and what grew out of it.
First off, I just got to say it's an honor to be here and to share out all the good news that we're doing in the Gibraltar School District, Dr. Butler. I thank you for having me today. And a couple years ago, through your generosity, we launched the very first WeatherSTEM station in the state of Michigan. And WeatherSTEM is big safety platform that monitors weather conditions. Started in Florida. Nobody had it in Michigan, like I said, and I wanted it. And essentially what we did was we launched the first station right between Shoemate Middle School and Carlson High School. We're on the same campus. And we have a hyper-local weather station on our campus that measures current weather conditions right in Gibraltar, Michigan. And with that, we were provided with social media sites for our learning community, a Facebook page, Twitter page, an app, a weather website, and educational tools that came along with it, learning modules and things like that, data mining. And we found out that our weather station could push data to the GLOBE program. So not only could our students use this data, which they have, with their GLOBE projects, but scientists from around the world could use the data that was being collected in Gibraltar, Michigan. And some of my students have actually used the data collected by Gibraltar School District WeatherSTEM to write their projects for the GLOBE International Virtual Science Symposium. And so essentially what started off as a simple weather station that was going to be kicking data out to the GLOBE program for scientists from around the world to use turned out to be this huge community safety tool. And not only does our learning community utilize the real world data, but also the city of Gibraltar has hosted Gibraltar School District WeatherSTEM on their website, but the Gibraltar Police and Fire Departments will check the weather when they're out on call. They've told me this. And recently, our weather station has been picked up by the Weather Channel quite a few times on AMHQ, where the live video is utilized in the morning show to showcase what's going on in the beautiful state of Michigan. So, like I said, it was a very simple idea, project-based learning that just really blew up, and everybody has truly benefited from Gibraltar School District WeatherSTEM and our amazing partnership we've had over the last 4 years.
Well, you've got to do some pretty amazing things in the school. So could you tell us some about the special class you've been teaching? And you now have several years of students who've gone through it.
Absolutely.
Describe it.
So I teach middle school science, and what we've been able to do is in 6th grade, the grade that I teach, one of the topics I have is weather and climate. And so I get to incorporate WeatherSTEM along with the curriculum that I teach. So I get to supplement and I get to pull that in, and it's really, man, it's amazing learning modules for the kids. So I get to do that. And in addition to teaching 6th grade science, I also have a very special advisory class. It's called GLOBE Advisory. And every year I'm allowed to have 25 students in my GLOBE Advisory class, and these students all apply. And I select based on the best applications. And during my advisory block, 25 minutes every day, these students come in and they form research teams, and they will pick topics to research around the Shoemate and Carlson campus, which I got to be honest with you, as a science teacher, it's a playground for science. I mean, we're surrounded by wetland area, and we have Lake Erie right around the corner, and little canals and things like that that lead out to Lake Erie. So there's so many different things that we can measure and study, and having that hyper local data right on our campus it's so meaningful, and we can put it to good use and better understand what's going on in our local environment right next to Lake Erie. So, and to be honest with you, I have really yet to even leak this one out, but next year I'll be teaching 6th grade science, globe advisory, and for the first time, remote sensing is going to be, no pun intended, launched at Shoemate Middle School, where we're going to be using kites and rover boats to take atmospheric and hydrology measurements around our local campus. So citizen science is a very big thing in the Gibraltar School District, and our learning community and the kids, they love it. So we're doing some really big things.
I remember a tremendous project one of your sets of students did dealing with soil. Could you say a little about that specific one, just as an example?
Sure. Shoemate Middle School, like I said, is surrounded by a wetland area, and we are in a high flood risk zone. And so the last 2 years, I've had a couple students that have been monitoring soil moisture at different locations on the campus, and they've been kind of keeping an eye on it. So when we have a lot of rain, is soil moisture, is that value going up? And so we have rain gauges set up on campus, and we have ovens and drying lamps and all the tools that we need. It's so cool. And the kids go outside during our advisory time, they collect samples, they bring them back in, they measure them. And what's really cool is that my students are submitting their own data to the GLOBE program. It's not me. I'm hands off. I just guide and make sure that everybody's safe, and I push their thinking. But our group has been going out and just monitoring what's going on, and so far we've been okay. We're not underwater, which is good. And you know, they've some of my students also, they've measured different things. Like I said, rain, surface temperature. They've measured different hydrology parameters from our front ponds and local canals and things like that. So it's an amazing thing. I like watching what these kids can do. It's really special. So,
well, you illustrate, and you said it very well, that as a science teacher, your job in many ways is better fulfilled by functioning as if you were a coach. And you basically stand back. You can't get on the field and play for the people you coach. And so you don't get involved in doing the research for the students. You let them go forward and do it from stem to stern, from observations and acquisition of data to reporting it, to analyzing it, to reaching logical conclusions with it, to using it to answer questions, test hypotheses, etc. And you coach them in doing that rather than trying to sort of force feed it or just lecture about it from the front of the classroom. It's just wonderful. Now, you've got a vision, because I remember we've more recently given you a second grant to bring in another weather station in your community. And so could you say a little about your vision more broadly for the Gibraltar school system?
The vision is very simple. It's getting science done. That's something that we even put on shirts. That's my vision. And when it comes to citizen science with the second grant, which was really awesome, and I thank you again for that, is we purchased a weather station. We purchased Sky Weather, and it's a weather station that runs off a Raspberry Pi microcomputer, and it's solar powered, lightweight. And we had a couple students that were coming in before school. They were helping me build this weather station. We had a box, we had to drill the holes, we had to put all the computer parts in it, we had to code it, we had to build a frame, place the solar panel, wire the solar panel. So we were building this weather station, and we had it up, we had it running, and we were on top of a school, downriver STEM at Weiss Elementary, which is in Woodhaven, Michigan, about 10 minutes away from Shoemate. And we selected that building because we wanted to see if there was a difference in the weather in Woodhaven, Michigan versus Gibraltar. So the Gibraltar School District services Gibraltar, Woodhaven, Brownstown, and Rockwood. And so what we did was we dropped another weather station on an elementary building to see if we could, find anything different. And it was working great. Everything was really well. But one of the things we didn't factor into our design was the wind speed on top of that school, seeing as how close it is to I-75 that runs north and south. And it got a little too much wind up there one day, and our frame kind of snapped, and then we brought it back, and then the roof got covered with snow, and then we had it fixed, and COVID-19 happened, and we're still waiting to get it back on that roof. But we were doing really good things with it. But I think among my rambling here is like the vision is to set up our own mesonet. And what I mean by that is, like I said, we service the Gibraltar School District, Gibraltar, Woodhaven, Rockwood, and Brownstown. And there's an elementary building in each of those cities. And what we'd like to do is possibly drop a weather station on each one of them over time. That way we can truly understand what's going on here in our local community. Instead of just looking at Gibraltar, can we expand that circle out just a little bit? And that's the long-term goal, unofficially, officially. So.
Terrific. Are you hoping to draw in the elementary school into the science teaching at all?
Absolutely. And, seeing the impact that WeatherSTEM has made, for the Shoemake Carlson campus, if we're able to drop a weather station on the other buildings, then, those schools can benefit much like, Shoemake and Carlson do. And I think that right there is, a win for everybody in our whole school district. So I think that's what we'd like to do.
That's wonderful. Hey, I can't resist asking, have you found some fellow travelers among the teachers at the elementary school?
Yeah, I have. And, some of them have reached out to me, names, and they've asked about what we're doing, and I've planted the seed, and, they've got some ideas of what they'd like to do. And, we had a lot of momentum going, and like I said, it kind of slowed down a little bit because, we had the stay home order, COVID-19, but I think, as soon as we figure out what the fall looks like and, how we're going to start the 2020-2021 year, we'll be able to get some momentum going again and maybe get back in the buildings. I think that would, that's totally needed. So we'll hopefully get that going soon.
That's terrific. Well, I must admit, making a grant to you was just so much money well spent. I mean, because you've taken it, you've run with it, you truly illustrate our principle that we need to teach kids to think scientifically, and you do that by having them do their own research projects. And you've certainly had year after year through your advisory several teams, and they've done wonderful work, and they've submitted to the Globe International Virtual Science Symposium, and by and large gotten really strong reviews, etc. And I've had the privilege, I guess, of seeing one or two of their presentations when one or two groups have been selected to come to a Globe annual meeting. Anyway, Jeff, thank you for all you're doing. I must mention that, was it 2018 you were chosen as the middle school science teacher of the year for the state of Michigan?
It was 2019, but you're close.
2019.
Yep.
That's great. That's so well deserved, and we're glad to have provided a little means to help you along that path. Anyway,
I couldn't do it without you. And one of the biggest things, I can't say it enough, is thank you. And my good friend David Bydlowski says science is not something that you Google, it's something that you do. And
absolutely.
You have afforded my students that opportunity to, get out there, do it, use the data, have this deep and rich understanding of what's going on. And you've transformed our learning community too, because when we have big weather events, let's say it's high winds, I'll have probably anywhere from 10 to 20 parents that will email me and say, hey, Mr. Bouwman, what was the max wind speed, or did you see that cloud video yesterday? So it's not just the kids that are benefiting from this, but it's also the adults too. And it just all came together. So they're seeing weather and climate in a new way too via social media. And they're reaching out to me, asking me questions just like the kids. So my friend, we've really done some amazing things here. So
That is fantastic, and we're so pleased. And thanks very much for talking to me today about the experiences, and we look forward to just great things. And I'm sure as the virus becomes less of a dominating factor for us, that you'll get that weather station back up and keep going in this wonderful direction.
more good things to come. More good things to come. So
absolutely. All right, take care now.